Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, all of you out in Cal Jam land. This is another exciting pre-Cal Jam podcast sponsored by our amazing friends over at Vox Life. Jade Aliwal stepped to the plate big time again this year to support our mission to change the planet. I got a world changer on the line today. David Wolfe, good morning, good afternoon. You're on Hawaii time. It's still morning over there, huh, brah?
Still morning, yes. 9:40 something in the morning, and we're rocking it over here.
You are rocking it, and you and I are jamming a tune together this year. I'm excited. That'll be our third time together now, right?
Yes, that's right. I can't wait.
We did a whole lot of love, and we crushed that 2 times. We did it. It sounded so fun. We had to do it twice. Remember?
Yes, that was great. It's so fun.
And there's nothing more fun than music. I don't care. I mean, surfing's up there. To me, like surfing's the daytime thing, and then at night I like to play music because you don't need sunlight for music. Plus, I think
I would agree with that. I mean, definitely.
The right brain works better at night too. I don't know. That's just me.
What's that?
The right brain works better at night for me.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? Left brain is more morning, get the stuff done mid-afternoon, and then you start moving to the right brain. Never thought about it that way.
So I wanted to I'm kind of intrigued by this whole flat Earth thing. I mean, how are you a flat earther, or where are you at? And did you want to talk about that, or where are we at with that?
Oh, sure. I mean, I'd love to get into that. This is something that's really important for people to understand about our reality. And I first got tipped to this by my friend Alan Steinfeld, who's a UFO guy. He's like the guy in New York City, in the Village, who's like into all paranormal stuff. You name it, he's interviewed that person or whatever. We used to meet every couple of weeks when I lived in New York back 2002 probably. And we'd go over like paranormal literature and just, interesting stuff. And we'd have like a study group and we'd just have fun. That's what I love about New York. That community there is so vibrant and just amazing. And he mentioned to me Charles Fort. He said, have you ever read Charles Fort? I was like, I never read Charles Fort. Who's Charles Fort? He said, oh, that was Stephen King's main inspiration. And I was like, okay, interesting. Paranormal guy, inspiration for Stephen King. I was a big Stephen King reader as a kid. So I started reading Charles Fort's books. And this is the key idea. Charles Fort proves conclusively that we live in a rational, irrational construct, or a logical, illogical construct. And one defines the other. You can't have rational without irrational. You can't have logical without illogical. So no matter what you posit and you say, okay, it's this, there will be evidence that will come up and say it isn't that.
Right.
Because that's the nature of reality. So the world that we're living in and the hyper-rational mind of our world today is trying to force a rationality upon us and delete the irrational or get rid of it,
right,
or exclude it. To be really specific, they're trying to exclude it so you don't get to see it. And the flat Earth comes into that category where I can show you measurements from this island, Kauai, over to Oahu. I can go up to Ku'amo'o Road right here, and I can see Oahu, all of it, all the way down to the sea, the whole island, and both mountain ranges. The first one's 70 miles away. The second one's 90 miles away. You can't explain that by a globe because that would be behind 3,000 feet of curvature. It's not. I can see it all the way right down to the water.
Good concept. I've never thought about that. So
why
doesn't the water fall off the edge?
Because it's held in by the ice wall of Antarctica. It's held.
I just heard about the ice wall of Antarctica.
It's frozen in at the edges. So the world that we are given and we're presented, our globe, is really a star map that's mapped down onto a flat surface as far as we can tell. And what that means is that the curvature of the heavens and the flatness of the earth cannot be jibed into a correct model. So every civilization will pick one and say it's that. So, for example, our civilization looks up and says, oh, you're under this position from the North Star, so you're at this latitude, and says you're on a curved surface when it's actually the heavens that are curved, not the earth. And by the way, just to point this out, you cannot come up with a model that actually integrates the flatness of the earth with the rotundity of the heavens and for it to be accurate, because it's a rational, irrational construct. It's like a circle and a square. When you have sphericity or rotundity or circularity, you're going to have pi involved, which is an irrational number. And so therefore you can't circle a square because the irrational number pi is a run-on number. It's irrational. And therefore you can get the circumference of a square, but you can't get the circumference of a circle to match it.
Wow. And there's also, we never fly over Antarctica, do we?
No, we're flying around. It's in with the North Pole. I pulled up every single flight that has ever been done over the North Pole, and then we're always going around it. Every flight goes around the North Pole, doesn't go over the North Pole. And I have some sneaking suspicions as to why that is. But
What is that?
That's advanced stuff. Well, because the first thing you have to arrive at, the first thing for everybody and all of us to arrive at is that we're being lied to about the world itself.
Not everything.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, they're hip to the vaccine scam, but then they go, oh, does it stop there? You think it stops there?
Well, some people aren't even hip to that yet. I mean, I think we got a lot of people still have the blinders on.
You know, I was just looking at Oprah's going to be going on this 2020 tour with convicted felon Pfizer. They're convicted felons, fraud, racketeering, felonies left and right, false advertising. And yet they're making 1/4 of the vaccines in America. Right there, you're going, hey, this is a criminal organization that's making what to inject into children? It's like they're convicted. It's already done. Like, come on.
Yeah, and you look at the big pharma, they're responsible for this big OxyContin friggin' epidemic we got going on. It's like people actually have this fallacy, this friggin' misconception that they think big pharma actually cares about them.
That is
your health.
Well, if that was true, we'd be the healthiest people ever right now, wouldn't we? But we have more, as you know, as a health professional.
It's an irrationality, as you say, because of the fact we have the sickest kids ever on the planet Earth. We have 54% of these kids now on some type of med because they've been diagnosed with some type of chronic disease. And when you and I mean, I'm older than you. I mean, I didn't know any kids that were on friggin' drugs. I didn't know any kids that had autism. I didn't know any kids that were on the fucking spectrum. I didn't know any kids that had friggin', I didn't know anybody kids with asthma. So again, I mean, you look around today, kids are sicker now than ever. And I'm not going to say anything about the IQ of kids, but I don't think it's where it used to be. I think we see just an increased destruction of the human mind through the neurochemicals and neurotoxins that they were shooting into these kids. Not only that, you're looking outside. If you look outside your window, I don't know if they're still spraying over there in friggin', you're on Kauai, right?
Yeah. They're not spraying over here. They are heavily spraying Southern California. They are not spraying over here.
They're spraying the shit out of us the past week. It's
I've heard it.
Unbelievable.
People have been sending me pictures. They're up to something for sure.
No, I think they're desperate, dude. I think they're feeling the fact that there's this awakening going on the planet to people are starting to smell their shit. They're starting to see the rationality of the irrationality of the reality that they're trying to get rid of a few billion people.
That is what these maniacs are up to. And people, they don't understand the level of corruption that's going on, but they're starting to wake up to it step by step. And that's a big part of this awakening. Right. I was just watching, like a whole program on the DNC leaked emails and leaked software and the voter fraud software and all this stuff that was going on. I'm not going to say the Democrats are better than Republicans or worse or whatever, but there's massive corruption in both parties.
Oh, come on, man.
Massive.
It's one's, I don't know which one's worse than the other. And I don't want to get into politics because I don't know enough about it to talk about politics. I just don't want
Well, they both want more wars. And that tells you right there that the intensity of corruption.
Right. More wars is more money. It's more fear. It's all that crap.
Yeah, it's more environmental destruction.
Surfing. It's the only thing that I have that keeps me sane in this insane friggin' world. And again, I went to bed last night going, Jesus, can it get any friggin' worse? And again, I thank God I've got things where I can detach and reconnect to God, whatever your God is. I know what my God is. And I guess, again, music's another one of those things. Right?
Absolutely. As bad as it is, it's also that good too. We have to actually balance it out. That's really, it is amazing.
Best day ever. Come on, man. It's the best day ever.
Like, you look at like the insanity of what's going on, but they're dying. We're being reborn. That's kind of how I look at it. It's like their world, their control grid, their matrix, their insanity, their criminality's dying. We're being reborn. We're being rejuvenated. We're being youthened. We're having the best day ever. And so inevitably they're going to lose, and inevitably we're going to win. Not that they're going to keep you. They're going to do every little trick in the book, including hiring Oprah to go out and sell for them. But eventually,
what is she going to be selling? The vaccine agenda? Is that what she's going to be selling?
Yeah, she's selling the vaccine agenda for Pfizer in particular, to be specific.
It's like we work so hard to get this message out. And, Robert Kennedy's going to be at Cal Jam. We work so hard, and Del Bigtree, and all of us works. And then we had a chiropractic organization in Canada actually yesterday that come out, and it was actually promoting vaccines and promoting the safety and efficacy of vaccines. I'm going, you're supposed to be on our side of the camp, you know? And I mean, I look at it as a vaccine is probably one of the most dangerous drugs that's ever been introduced into the humankind, and people just blindly accept it. And I don't want to turn this into a vaccine talk. I want to talk about what you're going to talk about, CalGem. And the reality is we got the chemtrails, we got the fluoride, we got the friggin' glyphosate, we got the friggin' vaccines, we got probably things we don't even know about in the ocean. We'll talk about that maybe at the end, because I'm really concerned about the direction the oceans are headed. But you're going to talk about the detoxification, and what are you going to utilize as your detoxification agent?
Excellent. The number one detoxification agent ever found for a human being, ever discovered in human history, is activated charcoal.
I love you.
Activated charcoal is the most important detoxification discovery in the history of humankind. It's been known to extend life in animals by over, between 21 and 47% in research. Now, that is an absurd number. Like, if we took the best longevity substances in the world, like olive oil, it increases lifespan by 9 to 18% in humans and animals. But 21 to 47% is unheard of. It's unmatched. There is nothing like that. So why is that? Because the prevailing theory that this is supporting and giving evidence to support is that it's failure in detoxification or metabolic problems with detoxification later in life in particular. Usually a human being's around 60 years old. For a mouse, it's around almost 2 years of age, where you start having metabolic problems of detoxification that accumulate and start causing the body to break down. And activated charcoal addresses that specific problem, and even animals started late in life show profound extension of lifespan, because again, the problems they accumulate later in life in particular. Not that I'm not taking charcoal now. I mean, I'm 50. I think you're low. I think you got a few years on me.
I'm 61, pal.
Oh my God, you do have a few years on me. Jeez.
Don't rub it in.
You're looking good. You're looking good, man.
I'm still surfing like a madman. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, if you could do that, it's all good.
Yeah. So,
but anyway,
how do you take the charcoal? Do you just like go get a briquette and just start chewing on it, or what, dude?
You don't want to chew charcoal briquettes because they're treated with potassium nitrate and other burn agents.
They probably got some petroleum products on it too, right?
Yeah, petroleum products. So what we do is we package our activated charcoal in tapioca capsules. That's one way to do it instead of vegetarian capsules. These aren't vegetarian, obviously, but they're more edible. So if we had an incident that happened at an event that I was at, where there was a gal who, she was exposed to something that she had an anaphylactic shock reaction. She could not swallow, so she chewed up the capsules instead, and it worked. So
that's Truth About Cancer?
That way. Yeah.
Yep.
Remember,
we had dinner together at Truth About Cancer. That was
I didn't want to name the event because, we're talking about CalGem. I love Truth About Cancer people.
I do too. Well, I want you to understand that Ty got his idea to do that from being at CalGem. So
okay. And, we're here to promote CalGem, and I love Truth About Cancer too and what they're doing. But the event that we've got coming up, we're going to get into this thing about charcoal in a way that's going to blow the audience apart. I mean, they're going to be like, what? I mean, Frolkis's gerontology research from Russia and his extension of the lifespan of animals using activated charcoal is incredible. It's one of the most important discoveries in all of animal research. And not that I'm a fan of animal research, but in extending life of animals, hey, let's do it. We want to extend life of our pets, right? Our pets and us. Let's do both.
So, my big concern is this whole Alzheimer's epidemic, which is going to be rampant. It's already It's the number one killer now in the UK, and it's probably going to be the number one killer in the United States within the next decade. Will the charcoal help pull some of the metals and toxins and neurotoxins out of the brain?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, there's a small fraction of the charcoal, it's less than 1%, that does get absorbed through your tissue and actually can cross the blood-brain barrier.
Okay.
And those are the most reactive, most detoxifying substances that we know of, which is the carbon-60, carbon-70, and related fullerene molecules that are always present in all charcoals and carbon deposits in the earth. Now, these are concentrated and made now specifically for detoxification in products called carbon 60 or fullerene detoxification products. And I use them both together. Actually, I actually have one. Here it is right here. So I use actually both these together. I do the charcoal and the fullerenes together because, yes, I'm getting the fullerenes in the activated charcoal, but is it enough to deal with assault on our nervous system by the toxins in our environment? And that's why I use this, which is in an olive oil format. You can see the olive oil right there.
You got to hook a brother up, man. I'm going to need to get on some of this with you.
I'll bring it all. I'll have it all at Cal Jam. And this is all made by me.
Bring it to practice next week.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll bring it to practice.
I don't want to start later. I want to start earlier.
Okay, deal. You got it. I'll get you hooked up. In fact, I'll bring one of these for you too, one of the big bags. And I go through 600 caps of charcoal every couple months. Yeah. That's the dose I'm doing. Because I know now, and I've been doing this for 5 years on the charcoal, I know now what it does and what it means. I get it. I understand. And like all the things you mentioned, the glyphosate, the contrails, I call them contrails.
No, those are cirrus clouds, bro. I mean it. They went immediately from a contrail to a cirrus cloud immediately.
Right?
Magically.
And so all those things, those toxins are sucked up by the charcoal. But this is interesting. This is an important point, and I'm sure people are wondering who are listening right now. People say, well, charcoal interferes with healthy absorption of nutrients. There's no evidence scientifically that that's true, and there never has been. And it's never been proven. That's a very, very big statement that I'm making right there. Activated charcoal does not interfere with healthy metabolism and absorption of protein, of carbohydrates, of oils and fats, does not interfere with mineral absorption of calcium, magnesium, or any of the above, or B vitamins or vitamin C or anything else. So it's particular against toxins, which is such an interesting discovery.
So when and how, so you take the capsules when you take them in 3 times a day or once a day, or what do you before?
I usually take them right when I get up. So I drink a liter of water with charcoal. So I have a little bit of electrolytes in my water. I just found that that's very important I work in the jungle every day. So I'm sweating a massive amount. So I got to replenish with electrolytes every morning with water. So I use sea salt. And then I'll do like 5 capsules, 5 440 milligram capsules of activated charcoal first thing in the morning. Then I'll go about my day. And then if I eat out, let's say, we have a place called Tiki Taco over here on this island. Sometimes we eat over there. And if I eat out, I'll take 1 or 2 caps of charcoal with it. Then I'll never get food poisoning, never have to worry about anything sneaking into the food. And then sometimes at night, I'll feel like, you know what, I'll do, 2, 3, 4, 5 capsules of activated charcoal an hour before bed. And that's a really nice way to do it. And that's it, like that.
Cool. Now, I'm really excited to have you on the program again. I mean, again, you're a non-chiropractor at kind of a sort of chiropractic event, but it's really turned into more of a mission-driven where the general public even comes, rock and roll. But we've got Russell Brand coming too, and you guys are both friggin', to me, like uber genius people. You're super smart, super connected. You got it going on. Have you had much interaction with Russell Brand at all?
I have never met him. He's friends with a good friend of mine, Daniel Pinchbeck from New York, another East Villager. And they're friends, but I've never met him, so I'm excited to meet him.
Yeah, cool. Anything else you want to bring to Cal Jam? I mean, other than the positive vibes that you always bring?
Well, we're gonna be bringing the great vibes and the good times, but I do want to get into this thing that, the charcoal revolution is part of the revolution of saving us. It's a major piece of the puzzle because as you ingest the charcoal, let me just put this is something that no one's ever heard before. This is an important discovery and an important point. We're on septic systems here, obviously, in Huntington Beach and down there in Orange County. You guys are on sewer systems. When the charcoal passes through you, it comes all the way through you, it persists in the environment and continues to clean the environment. So as the charcoal is moving through you and comes out of you, it goes into the septic systems and sewer systems and helps to suck up the toxins out of those systems. Think of our filters. Our filters are charcoal. Our water filtration, charcoal filter.
Right.
Charcoal filter. Gas mask. What's the mechanism in a gas mask that filters? Charcoal. So the phrase is we either get a filter or we become a filter. We don't want to have the filter in here. We want the filter out here, like stop it before it gets in. But if it gets into us, charcoal is our best way to filter it off and get it out.
So one of the things I wanted to touch on, knowing that you're a big environmentalist for obvious reasons, because we're outside all the time. We're not indoors all the time. you said you're out in the jungle all day sweating, and I like to be in fact, I'm going to the ocean right after this. But the state of the oceans, does it ever concern you? Like plastic issue and friggin'
Oh,
acidification of the ocean and the dying of the reefs, and it's just like the overfishing, and it's been decimated. I was just in the Marshall Islands over Thanksgiving, and there's no fish left there either, and it's just so sad that, I mean, like you said, best day ever. But what about the kids that are coming up 30, 40, 50 years down the road? Are they still going to have the best day ever because we decimated a planet? We haven't had respect for Mother Nature. We haven't addressed the issues with the ocean, the plastics, the shit that's going on with the geoengineering and everything else that's going on. I mean, we can't continue on the road we're going. I mean, we can put charcoal everywhere, but I think it would make more sense to stop shitting on the planet.
I completely agree. We got to stop the plastic insanity and the oil insanity.
No
And this is
kidding.
that whole thing about, we hear constantly about climate change. Climate change, all that's about is just getting a carbon tax on you. It's not actually
Right.
going to stop the oil companies.
Right.
It's not going to stop the U.S. military from polluting, which, as far as I can tell in my research, the U.S. military is the biggest polluter in the world by far. The U.S. military pollutes more than the top 5 chemical companies in the world combined.
So what are they polluting the planet with?
They're polluting the planet with oil, trash, garbage. I don't know if you've ever seen those leaked videos of them just throwing overboard trash into the ocean, and just, it's gnarly. And remember, they're manufacturing huge
It makes me
amounts
want to
of chemical
cry, bro.
weapons.
You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
like we treat the ocean like the ocean is like my
a trash can.
No,
Yeah.
man. That's my religion. That's my church. And people treat it like it's a friggin' toilet and just throw shit in it. It pisses the shit out of me. Like I was up at Moss Landing surfing over Christmas, and I'm always picking stuff off the beach because I have a respect for the ocean, and I don't know how somebody can just throw a coffee cup or a beer can on the beach, or not pick up after their dog feces. It's just like, come on, man. This is like where you live, man. This is your planet. This is your ocean. This is our sustenance for the future of the planet is the ocean, man. It's the building block for the food chain. You know what I'm saying?
Completely agree. I mean, that boundary zone of where the ocean touches land, that's where the action is in nature. It's where those boundary zones, the edge of the jungle, the beach where the ocean meets, and that's where you get those waves and that salty air, and you're breathing in all of those amazing electrolytes right into your body. It's a magical place. And I grew up in Southern California as a Southern California surfer like you. I'm very, very disturbed by the whole thing. I've seen the plastic trash on these islands and how that's changed in the last 6 years. There was when I first came here 15 years ago, there was no trash or anything on the beach. Now plastic every day, especially on certain beaches that catch it all. It's a tragedy, and it's going to only change from a change in our heart.
Right.
That's where the change is going to come from. And we're going to get out of our head, and we're going to get more into the heart. And we all join together to stop this nonsense, then it will be stopped.
Yeah, and again, it's hard to get like people from my generation. I think I don't know, they just gotten fat and lazy. And I'm not saying fat as in obese. I'm saying fat is just like they don't care. I mean, when they're more interested in watching football and carrying on with their life. I've really realized that through with what I've been doing with Cal Jam and speaking internationally and stuff, that I really want to motivate the kids. And I mean, kids, anybody that still has that youth vitality. And I'm not saying kids as far as, I'm still a kid. I'm a dyslexic 61, which means I'm 16 years old. Again, I want people to really address this issue. And again, we can't just keep the blinders on. So what do you feel could be our first step to like really helping save the oceans? I mean, obviously the plastic. I was just in like I said, the Marshall Islands as a Majuro. I got off on this I'm out in the middle of nowhere. There was no people around it. And I'm pulling up on beaches where they're just littered with plastic. It blows my mind. Where is it all coming from?
It's crazy. I know. It's just insane. I think this kid who came up with the idea of putting that trawler out on the ocean that's picking up the plastic and actually, I think they re-smelt the plastic right there. So they remelt it and form it into whatever, things they need for the ship or something. That was a cool idea. So we get trawlers out in the ocean that are pulling in all this surface, because a lot of this stuff is floating at the surface, right? And that's the big problem, because the birds pick it up because they think it's like, oh, it's a shiny little fish, or that's algae.
Yeah, that's the saddest part for me, man.
And you probably saw that in the Marshall Islands when the birds decay and break down, they're filled with plastic. It's just gross.
No, I was up at Moss Landing, and there was this seagull that was just trying to eat this and I tried to get it away from him, but the thing kept running away from me. He was trying to eat this little container. I'm going, dude, there's nothing there to eat, man. It's plastic. Why are you trying to eat that? It's just, I mean, for me, like this whole thing that's going on in Australia, and I think a part of that's a side effect of, again, we're not going to talk climate change, but we're calling, when you spray all this gunpowder into the sky every day, you're going to have a higher temperature rate. Of these fires are going to burn a lot higher than they used to. Plus, a lot of the gunpowder that spray is also a desiccant to the planet, which is drying things out. Plus, if you're geoengineering the weather and you're limiting the amount of rain that can go. I mean, why? Again, people ask me, why would we want to drought out California? Why would we want to drought out Australia? What's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion is, number one, is the first thing that disturbs people about this is, and the reason why they can't accept contrails is because they go, well, they have to breathe that air too. They live under that too. Those people don't understand parasites, right? Evil is correlated to parasitic behavior. The parasite eventually has a big problem, which is it destroys its own host.
Right.
Until you understand parasite consciousness, I get why you can't understand the contrails. Of course. Right. Once you understand that the parasite will eventually destroy its own home, then you really understand why they spray themselves too, and they spray everybody else with their pharmaceutical cure for the environment, for the weather, whatever their trip is. There's a lot of layers to it. I mean, at the deepest layer, I think what they're really doing is they're disturbing the atmosphere between 1 foot and 50,000 feet above us, which is where a lot of interesting phenomenon occur. And I'm going to reference Charles Fort on that one and ask people to dig in and read a little bit of that.
What's his best book? Because I want to get into this.
Well, his most famous book is The Book of the Damned, which is about information we excluded, we damned, we don't want to see, because we're trying to be scientific, so we need to exclude data. That's basically what Charles Fort's pointing out, the logical fallacy of that. Right? Like, for example, theory of evolution. We're all sold theory of evolution. We came from monkeys, the whole thing. But meanwhile, there's the Paluxy River find where we have a human footprint in with a dinosaur footprint in the same strata. We have thousands of human footprints there and dinosaur footprints in the Paluxy River find, which the creationists have been using against the evolutionists for years. So the evolutionists, instead of debunking it, because they can't debunk it, just ignore it and exclude it and get rid of it. Make sure you don't see it.
Right.
Not that I'm on either camp, by the way. I'm not in the evolution camp, but I'm not in the creationist camp either.
Right.
But I'll look at both data.
Right. All right, anything you want to add, brother?
Today's the best day ever.
Best day ever, and I'm gonna go get some waves, man.
Get some tasty waves.
I'm just super psyched. You've always been one of my favorite people. I just love your energy. I mean, first time I met you, I can't even remember. We were doing an article for Spiz magazine a long time ago, and I mean, I just always loved your energy. You everything you say, I'm in congruence with. I mean, and thanks for giving me a little briefing on the flat Earth stuff, because I never really understood that, and I'll do some more research on that.
Yeah, the best thing to do is to really look yourself, do some measurements, get a telescope out, get binoculars out, and go, wait, I can see that lighthouse over there, it's 32 miles away. It should be under a certain amount of curvature, right? At 30 miles, it should be under 600 feet of curvature or more at 32 miles. And if it's not that,
Catalina that way, then, right?
Right, Catalina, you can see all the way down to the coastline. You can see it all the way down to the beaches.
Right.
It's 30 miles away.
Right.
It should be behind 600 feet of curvature.
Yeah.
And then we have to explain that, okay, the Great Lakes definitely aren't curving. There's no curve over the Great Lakes. And is there a curve over the ocean? Doubtful, highly doubtful. Right? The ocean water sits level. What do you mean it's curving over an ocean? What? You see, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, actually. True. I never thought about that either.
Not
that it has a curve in your glass of water is what you're kind of saying.
Yeah, if you see a curve in a glass of water, like my little drink right here, it's a meniscus. It's at the edge up here where it curves up because it has that friction or connection or that viscosity with the edge of the glass. But you don't see this. It's not, the ocean's not doing that. It's not bulging in front of us. Let me just leave it with this. Good friend of mine ran one of the world's greatest air forces for 20 years. And first thing, when we first actually met in person, not online, but actually in person, first thing he said to me, he said, it's flat, isn't it? Because he had been trained by the British military to fly over the desert at 1 meter at 500 miles per hour.
Oh, shit.
Right. Now you have to adjust for the curve if you're going that fast over the desert. but he never did. So that bothered him his whole career, all his life. That bothered him. And the first thing he said to me is like, "It's flat, isn't it?" Because I couldn't do that maneuver, right? And I was like, "Of course, it's flat. Obvious. It is flat because gyroscope data indicates it's flat. When the Earth's not spinning, the heavens are spinning, all the data we have on that." So then that brings up all this other stuff, which is why are they giving us this charade, which, you know, we call that this, I call it the spaced out program because you have to be spaced out to believe in it. It's a movie. It's a Hollywood movie and always has been. I mean, Jules Verne invented weightlessness. Look into it. How did he know? That was 1880. Like Jules Verne invented the idea of weightlessness in space. You know, it's gnarly. It's gnarly. We're becoming progressively more aware of what we're up against and who we're up against and what their real trip really is. Yeah. And it doesn't stop with them hurting kids. I got news for you. That's just the beginning.
No, please. The kids got friggin' dollar signs in their eyes all the way to the bank, baby. What kind of business model is that? We're going to mandate you friggin' force drug your kids. We don't have any liability. And then we create all this back-end business with all the ADD, ADHD, autism, allergies, asthma, eczema, cognitive issues. Again, it's like you don't have to be freaking a genius or a rocket scientist to see through this shit. You just – and people go – and I can't even just get even behind sticking a needle in a friggin' newborn. Come on, bro. That's going way out beyond my conception of anything normal.
I don't know if you know this, Billy, but you know, both my parents are medical doctors. No, so I grew up in it. I grew up in it. When I was 7, I said, "There's no way any needle's ever going into my arm ever again." Even back then, I knew something was wrong, very wrong, deeply wrong, and I was disturbed by it even at 7 years old. So today what I do is I have kids coming over here every week, actually, and we train them up on healthy living and healthy lifestyle and healthy food. And I got 2 little ones here now, a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old. And that's how we turn this ship around.
Yep.
We get
educate
young kids,
youth, man.
And we get them educated. I had a 14-year-old here last week. That was amazing. What an amazing kid. And just every week we just try to get a new group of kids in here, get them trained up, get them learning, get them educated, learn how to farm, learn about charcoal, learn about all the amazing things they can do to love their body.
Yeah, you also said something right at the opening. I want to touch on this real quick because this will be a big chiropractic. You said you were saved by chiropractic.
Yes, I was. And I want to mention that I love chiropractic. That's why I love doing your show, not only because of you and I love your whole team and everybody, but, you know, I had a very bad injury when I was 18 where I tore my rib and my sternum out, this one right here. Yeah. And it didn't sit right for some months. And then finally I was like, even though it was a rib injury, I didn't really realize it was really a back injury. And the first chiropractic adjustment, it got it back in place. And I was like, whoa, the pain went away, everything went away. And I was like, whoa. So I kept going back for chiropractic. And eventually I was healed of this injury. Now, it's not an injury that I like to irritate. That's why I don't surf like I used to when I was a kid, because this motion.
Oh, I thought it was laying on the board that aggravated it.
No, it's that swimming motion. I can do this swimming motion, no problem. So when I swim like this. But the
body surf
like that. I love body surfing.
Get some duck feet. I don't know if it's duck feet, Churchills, or whatever the new ones are, but
I love I just got a pair. Yeah, they have the rounded ends. They're duck feet. They're awesome.
I know. They look trippy now, huh?
They're trippy. Yeah, I love it.
All right, hey, I'll let you go, sir. Yeah, when I come out there, we've got to hook up and go to the ocean and hang out.
Oh, for sure. I got boards. We're ready to rock and roll over here.
All right. But I'll see you next Tuesday for band practice.
I'll see you Tuesday in Orange County, right at your place. Same place as last time?
Same bat channel, 8 o'clock.
Got it.
Sweet Judy Blue Eyes.
Okay, you got it. I'll be ready to rock and roll.
All right, bro. From the bottom of my heart, top of my brain, for every fiber of my being, I want to just say how much I love and appreciate everything that you do. And God bless you.
God bless you too, bro. Thanks so much.
Rock
Cheers.
and roll. I'll see you soon.